What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Be sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. The year is 2024. We are on our third and last Venom movie, and Venom has never actually fought and or met and or talked to Spider-Man. So that should tell you what we're dealing with. Look, Venom was always Venom in name only. They made him a hero before he was ever actually a villain. And like I said, he's never actually met Spider-Man. This is all a part of Sony's Spider-Man verse without Spider-Man, because that's working out great. We got Craven next. They're mostly losses. I know Tom from Midnight's Edge loves it, but Badger, the first Venom made almost 900 million. Great. The rest of them haven't. And the reason that first one made that money is because everyone actually was giving it a chance. They thought they might see some Venom. And while it might have been all right, it was nowhere close to what it could have been if we had gotten the real Eddie Brock with Peter Parker as Venom and Spider-Man. And then you could have gotten to the point of team ups and switching the symbiote to other people. And anyway, we've got Venom the Last Dance. It seems like at best it is just a normal turn off your brain popcorn adventure flick. And so people might be enjoying it for that, but that's in the long term, because in the short term, it has underperformed. You can see here with just 51 million domestically. Now, obviously, this is a China release, so that'll be a different take there. So you can see domestically 51, but added 124 million internationally for a global gross of 175 million. And you can see here for comparison, the first Venom movie had an opening weekend of 80 million back in 2018, while the second, which released as theaters were coming out of their coof shutdowns, grossed 90 million domestically. So it's not great. God, especially when you consider that it made more than the other one. Anyway, you can see here early box office projections from Box Office Theory, noting that Venom The Last Dance would gross between 87 million and 107 domestically, and that these projections have been radically downgraded heading into the weekend box office, noting that it would gross between 48 million and 59 million. That is the sweet spot of where it hit, explaining Venom The Last Dance has not quite matched up to the long lead expectations of social growth and pre-sales and market and sample markets lag well behind 2021 predecessor Let There Be Carnage and more recent comparable films, also sharing that speculation that the casual audience sentiment no longer views comic book films favorably anymore. Yes. So for a while there, we were trying to point out distinctions that when people were saying superhero fatigue, they really meant good movies. And Deadpool and Wolverine, to a certain extent, did point that out. That, yeah, superhero fatigue just means it needs to be good for people to go. They're not just going to go, oh, it's a superhero movie, and just go based on the fact that they might see something fun. In fact, now it's quite the opposite. I would expect most people now, when they hear superhero movie, they think more of the Captain Marvels, Miss Marvel, the Eternals, and all the horrible upcoming, Ironheart, Thunderbolts. You know how bad it's going to be. And that is included with this. The Morbius, it's Morbin time. So yeah, the sentiment is not there. OMD, shout out to Odin here, saying that it is, of course, a flop. Venom 3 had the absolute worst opening in the entire history of the franchise, missing the mark of the previous two films by a whopping 30%. We are talking a massive drop-off in the amount of money being made. Yeah, and the word of mouth, I've had a couple of friends, shout out to Nerd Wars and some others who found it just generically fine. Certainly not as bad as some people are saying. While it's already grossed 175 million globally, most of the international box office is from China, and that makes the film's bar of whether or not it will break even a lot higher, especially given that Hollywood studios only receive 25% of the return there. That's real important to note. In comparison, other studios get around 40% of the take in other international markets and 55% of the take domestically. That is why Venom 3 is no longer looking very well as far as the future prospects. I do not think the film will make its money back. However, he does hedge his bets here, saying, but hey, it's still quite early at this point in time, and so anything could potentially happen. I think it's possible that once they start, spoiler, Null is in it, voiced by Andy Serkis, king of the symbiotes, and he is shown and heard. If they start marketing that in the trailer and really hinting that he's going to show up again in future Spider-Man movies. Perhaps the Spider-Man movie set between Doomsday and Secret Wars that they keep saying is going to be an Avengers level threat. And they keep hinting that Null is not done and that he'll be back. So just connect the dots. And we also had that deal that just happened between Sony and Marvel MCU, where any villain that Sony has, MCU is allowed to use them as long as it's 45 days after the digital release of said villain. So 44, which could be in a month from now, 45 days after that, essentially in 2.5 months, Marvel could use Null in any movie they want. I know you're also excited about that. Just notating that the film's opening weekend ticket sales were massively below estimations for the first two films, and showed that the first one sold around 8.8 million tickets in the opening weekend, with the sequel 8.6 million. In contrast, Venom: The Last Dance only sold 3.9 million. That is a decline of around 55%. And just finishing off here, I think we can see here Hideo Kojima gave his review, and his review was that saw Venom: The Last Dance in IMAX. And that's his review. And yes, quite telling indeed. He gives lengthy reviews when he likes it, and when he doesn't, he just says he's seen it. And maybe that's the way to go. So, saw Venom 3, The Last Dance. Did you see Venom 3? You let me know how it is. Either way, make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And
well, bye.